Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Flux Quadras. This watch will be available on pre-order from the 30th of October from fluxwatches.com for $2,800 which is €2,400 respectively. The Quadras will be available in the following colour options: Vintage Black, Silverstone, Adrenaline Red and Apex Blue respectively. On the left we have the Silverstone version, on the right we have the Adrenaline Red version. All colour options will be available both on the bracelets and also rubber straps. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes in a dark grey plastic watch box, which is housed inside this outer black cardboard box. On the lid to the outer box we have the embossed Flux emblem, so I'll remove the lid to the base, which is a snug fit, just bear with me. It's a very tight fit due to the vacuum effect. Now inside, the dark grey plastic watch box is protected in shipping from any scuffs and scratches with this black fabric. So one unwraps the fabric, pulls down the flap, and I'll take out the watch box and show it to you. Now this does have some real heft to it. In terms of heft, it feels like a solid wooden watch box. It's a very heavy plastic watch box, so one immediately gets the impression that the Flux Quadras is a high quality piece. There's a circle cut out, as you can see, and it is inlaid with the Flux emblem in silver, very aesthetically pleasing. Every side of it has a glossy finish to it, and no flaws, no scuffs, no scratches, so the black fabric does a good job of protecting it. Now, in the end of the drawer, inside the sleeve, we have two compartments, and there are two black fabric nylon ribbon pulls. This makes it easy to get good purchase with your index finger and thumb to withdraw the drawers from the main drawer and the compartment. Now, this has a unique mechanism. It's the first time I've seen this on a watch box, and Flux deserve credit for coming up with an original watch box design. So what we have is a main drawer inside the plastic sleeve. Rather like a Christopher Ward watch box, which is made from bamboo, there's a drawer, and that withdraws from the sleeve. So when you pull out the main drawer, you can see it activates a spring-loaded mechanism, and that causes the centre circle to pop up with the watch sitting on top of the padded pillow cushion inside the cutout. So the circle is fully upholstered with contrasting grey velour fabric, and the cutout is also upholstered, and the watch sits on this padded pillow cushion, which is also upholstered with grey velour fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Adrenaline Red rubber strap version inside the cutout, and I'm actually going to test it and see how it works. It's spring-loaded, as you can see. Now I've sized the rubber strap to its smallest size, as you can see. It's a very nice presentation, the way it pops up. And when you close the drawer, which has a nice smooth spring-loaded action, it's hidden inside the watch box beneath this disc, this circle, as you can see. And it's got a nice mechanism. It's very heavily sprung-loaded, so it's got this action which is very smooth. When you pull out the drawer, slowly, you can feel the watch actually comes out like this. And it's got a really good action to it. The engineering that's gone into this watch box is absolutely fantastic. Just compare this to the boring standard watch boxes that Rolex, Tudor and Omega pieces come in. They're made from plastic, and of course Omega watch boxes have a grained finish of the plastic to make it look like wood, but the reality is they're made from plastic. Rolex watch boxes are simply made from plastic, which is simply vinyl coated with green to look like leather, and of course Tudor watch boxes are similar to Rolex. But the point I'm making is they don't put this kind of engineering, this spring-loaded mechanism, into their watch boxes. This is a mid-tier piece at €2,400, but the quality of the engineering is fantastic. The way it pops up, as you can see, and the way it goes back down, and it's hidden. And it works very well. When you pull out the drawer, it pops up every single time, and then it goes back in every single time. It never catches on the lid. It's just fantastic. I really like it. I like the way this centred disc pops up flush, and then the watch sits on the padded pillow cushion, proud of it, as you can see. And then when you push in the main drawer, it's got this spring-loaded action. You can feel the mechanism. It actually helps you pull the drawer in because it's a very heavy drawer. The spring-loaded action actually aids you. It helps you push it in. So you don't have to really push it in with a lot of force, and you don't have to pull it out with a lot of force. It actually feels like a very smooth mechanism every single time. This is fantastic. The watch box alone really impresses me. It's an original design. I've never seen anything like this, even with high-tier pieces. And I've reviewed everything from a €20 Casio F91W low-tier piece to a high-tier Rolex Skydweller, which is €24,000. But in over 500 watches reviewed on my channel, this is the best watch box I've ever seen, and certainly at €2,400 in the mid-tier, I've never seen anything like the quality. Looks good, works well. Now, in addition to that, we also have two drawers, as you can see. So just bear with me, they're a snug fit. I'm going to take them out. So this one is a very snug fit, and I'm just going to clarify something. Although it's a nice snug fit, it's very smooth. The action of it is very refined. The engineering that's gone into this, the tolerances, the build quality, the quality control are stellar. This is nice and snug, but it feels smooth. So you don't have to push it in very hard and you don't have to pull it out very hard. The point is, they thought about this because of course it is a snug fit. But what they've done is they've put these fabric nylon ribbon pulls, and it's easy to get good purchase with your index finger and thumb, get a good grip of it, pull it out, and of course push it back in smoothly. But the refinement is stellar. So one pulls out this drawer from the main drawer, which is a snug fit, but smooth. And inside you can see it is fully upholstered. It's fully lined with grey velour fabric. Now the benefit of that is it makes it very low friction. So of course this dark grey plastic has a glossy finish. It's very smooth and of course no friction to it. And what they've done is, so that it's not a sloppy fit, just bear with me, I'll put the lid back on and show you that again. What they've done is, to give it more friction, they fully lined the internals, the interior of the drawer, the main drawer compartment, with this grey velour fabric. And of course that gives friction to the drawer, because otherwise it would be a sloppy fit and it would rattle about and it would be poor quality. And it actually works very well because the grey fabric provides just the right amount of friction. It's nice and smooth, both when you withdraw it and also push it back in. So as you can see, it doesn't take a lot of force, just an index finger of pressure, and it slides in smoothly. This refinement is fantastic. And the ribbon pull, you simply pull on it and it comes out smoothly. So one takes out the drawer, which is a snug fit, and then it has a lid. So as you can see, now what I like about it is this lid, which is like a tray, it actually has magnets inside it, and the magnets attract to magnets inside the base. So it snaps together with this magnetic attraction. Now in terms of magnetic field, I want to clarify something. When I review watches that come in watch boxes which have magnets, often collectors will post comments beneath the video saying, what about the movement? Won't it become magnetized from the magnets in the watch box? For example, Christopher Ward used magnets in their similar style watch boxes. They're made from bamboo, but they have two magnets in the drawer, two magnets in the sleeve, and of course the pair of magnets attract each other, so the drawer snaps into the sleeve with a nice positive magnetic attraction. It's good. But then collectors post comments and say, well, won't the magnets magnetize the movement? The answer is no. The magnetic field generated by the magnets is very weak. It's strong enough to attach this drawer to the base, but it's not strong enough to magnetize the movements, which is the Lejeune Perret caliber LJPG 101FX. So we've got this tray. Quality control, build quality, finishing is stellar. And I really like the finish, glossy finish to the dark grey. It's almost black. And this drawer is like a lid to the box, as you can see, or the drawer. Now, we've also got another ribbon pull, and one pulls up on it, and that makes it easier to withdraw the item. As you can see, look at the finishing. Even the drawer, or the cap, or the lid to this base drawer is fully upholstered with grey velour fabric to an excellent standard, and the ribbon underneath makes it easy, because often, you'll all be familiar with this, sometimes you get this style of drawer or tray or watch box and it's difficult to actually get the item out, but with the ribbon beneath it, you can simply pull up on the ribbon. That makes it easy to get purchase on it, even wearing a pair of gloves like this. So, this cardboard wallet, which is branded with Flux, as you can see, and on the reverse it says Inspire. You open it like a wallet, and again, has a magnetic attraction. The attention to detail with this packaging is some of the best I've seen. It snaps shut with a nice positive click because it's got a magnet in the flap and a magnet in the base. So it's like a magnetic wallet. It's just fantastic. Underside, we have instructions for the toolless link bracelet, also setting the crown, and also nano adjust knob for the micro adjustment on the clasp, which I'll show you. Now, you can see there's a cutout in the base, and what we have inside is the warranty card. And it says, before wearing this timepiece, sit back, relax and enjoy your favourite drink. Reflect on that inspirational story or occasion, then pull the right side of the box to mark this moment. Tell us about your story at fluxwatches.com. Now, what I'll show you is this card, as you can see, which is very aesthetically pleasing, silver around the perimeter and inlaid with a brushed satin finish Flux emblem. On the reverse, this is the 5-year international warranty card. Now, To clarify, the watch comes with bracelets and rubber straps. The price point is €2,400. The standard warranty the watch comes with is 2 years of international warranty, which is mandatory. It's the industry standard for mid-tier pieces between €500 and €5,000. However, Flux go better than that. The watch comes with a 2-year international warranty, but however, when you register your watch online on fluxwatches.com, that extends the standard 2-year warranty to 5 years of international warranty. And as you can see, it says 5-year limited warranty. So you simply need to enter the serial number, which is engraved into the piece, on their website, and that will activate the 5-year international warranty. It will extend it from 2 years to 5. There's also a QR code you can scan with your Android or iPhone to activate the warranty, and the website fluxwatches.com, and it simply says scan the QR code to receive up to 5 years limited warranty. There's also space to fill in the date of purchase. So model number is on there and also the serial number of the piece. Excellent. This is really good for a mid-tier piece. Often the industry standard is 2 years. High-tier pieces, €10,000+, such as Rolex, have 5-year international warranties. To see 5 years of warranty on a microband piece at €2,400 is exceptional. They deserve full credit. And even the presentation of it, the way it slots in, as you can see, and then this wallet closes with a magnetic attraction, and then it fits inside this drawer. Everything about it is very well thought through. The design and the engineering that's gone into this is just stellar. So inside this drawer, you see there's a black foam protective panel, which you take out. And inside it, again, it's fully upholstered with contrasting grey velour fabric. There's 2 pairs of elasticated straps for housing straps. Again, we've got a ribbon pull to make it easy to withdraw the compartment. And beneath it, you can see the purpose. This is a box or drawer which houses spare FKM floor rubber straps. So I've got the Adrenaline Red version fitted with a red floor rubber strap. And you can see this is an alternative colour. This is the grey version, so we'll look at that in detail. But what you've got here is you've got a storage compartment, and you can keep spare straps beneath it. And alternatively, you can keep these straps secured in this elasticated strap. So very well thought through, very good presentation. I like the way it all fits together with protective foam. And this cap, as I've detailed, has magnetic attraction, or the lid to it, with a drawer with a warranty card. And this fits inside the main drawer, as you can see. Nice snug fit. And you simply need light pressure, index finger of pressure, smoothly slides in, and the mechanism works perfectly. It's got a nice spring-loaded action. So I'm just going to take out the watch because we're going to be looking at both versions. Fantastic. Presentation is stellar. 5 years of warranty, one of the best watch boxes I've ever seen on my channel in over 500 watches. So first we'll look at the bracelet version, specifications, and then we'll look at this one, the rubber strap version, FKM floor rubber strap fitted to the Adrenaline Red. So this one is the Silverstone. Both same specifications. We have a 41mm case diameter. We have a lug-to-lug measurement of 39.7mm, a thickness of 11.8mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The bracelet tapers at its widest point, 26mm, down to 18mm at the micro-adjustment clasp. As you can see, micro-adjustment clasp is signed with the Flux emblem engraved with high-definition engraving. Now, to clarify, this piece is entirely made from 904L stainless steel. Not only that, it's not standard 904L stainless steel, it's actually hardened 904L. So it's hardened to a hardness rating of 800 HV. HV stands for hardness Vickers. So what does that mean in reality? Well, to put it into perspective, standard 316L grade and standard 904L stainless steel typically have a hardness rating of 200 HV, 200 hardness Vickers. 904L, which is hardened to 800 HV, is 4 times harder, 4 times more scratch resistant than standard grade. So, not only have they used a more expensive option of 904L, and to remind you, Rolex use 904L, they call it oyster steel in their pieces versus 316L. In terms of visually, there's no discernible difference. When you brush satin finish 316L and you brush satin finish 904L to the same luster, the same high quality finish with fine grained satin finishing, visually you cannot tell the difference. For example, 904L doesn't look more grey or more silver than 316L. They look exactly the same visually. But however, there is a notable difference in terms of the composition of the chromium added to each respective grade, 904L and 316L. But the thing to note is 800 HV hardness rating is far more hard and scratch resistant than the standard 200 HV, so Flux deserve full credit for that. So head of the piece, bracelet, clasp, caseback, crown are all entirely made from 904L stainless steel with 800 HV hardness Vickers rating. So, rest of the specification. In terms of heft, the thing I want you to be mindful of, the bracelet version weighs 153 grams. The rubber strap version weighs 103 grams respectively. So there's a 50 gram difference between the two versions. Bracelet version is 50 grams more heavy, and the rubber strap version is 50 grams lighter. So 153 grams versus 103 grams. That's something to note. For example, if you're a collector with a larger wrist, you'll appreciate the heft. If you have a 7 to 8 inch wrist, 153 grams. If you're a collector with a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, you will appreciate the lack of heft with the rubber strap version at 103 grams respectively. So both have 70 meters of water resistance. We have a double dome sapphire crystal, and it's a tonneau crystal. So the case is like a tonneau case, and then we have a curved tonneau crystal. So to clarify, curved on the underside, curved on the top side, and we have 5 layers of AR coating. Now I want to give due credit to Flux here. The industry standard is, for example, 1 layer of AR coating. That does suffice. They go better than that. 5 layers of AR coating is exceptional. So to put that into perspective, Omega, for example, on the Seamaster Professional, they use double AR coating. They use AR coating on the top side and AR coating on the underside. And I dislike that. The reason why I dislike double AR coating, 2 layers of AR coating, is because when you put AR coating on the top of a crystal, of course, that's prone to being scuffed and scratched. It's an area that's subject to wear and tear with daily wear. So although double AR coating is better than single AR, just on the underside, the problem with having it on the exterior is often it becomes scuffed and scratched. This has 5 layers of AR, but I want to give credit to Flux because they've added the 5 layers of AR on the underside, not on the top side and the underside, as per Omega with double AR coating. This has 5 layers of AR, but on the underside, so it's not going to become scuffed and scratched with daily wear and tear. But I can tell you, this is some of the best AR coating performance I have ever seen in over 500 watches on my channel, regardless of price points, even high tier pieces costing €10,000+. When you look at this tonneau crystal, double domed, curved on the underside, curved on the top side, when you look at the piece straight on, when you look at the flinky enamel dial, it looks like the crystal is invisible. There is no reflection whatsoever. When you tilt the piece at an oblique angle, often with tonneau crystals like this, curved crystals, there is a lot of glare because of course the curved profile is like a reflective mirror. 5 layers of AR coating really reduces this. Now bear in mind, this reduces the glare of the silver mirror polished handset and the silver mirror polished indices. The other thing I really like about this is the flinky dials. So flinky enamel dials are some of the best enamel dials in the watchmaking industry. Usually one sees flinky enamel dials on high tier pieces costing in excess of €30,000. So I'm talking about Holy Trinity pieces such as Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet and Vacheron Constantin respectively. €30,000+ heavy hitters from the Holy Trinity. This is €2,400. This is the first and only time I have seen a flinky enamel dial used in the mid-tier between €500 and €5,000. Now if this were €10,000+, I would say it's nothing unusual to see a flinky enamel dial, although one usually sees them on €30,000+ pieces. But at €2,400 to see a flinky enamel dial is just incredible. Now I want to clarify something. Flux use flinky enamel dials on all 4 colour versions. So to remind you of the colour versions, Vintage Black, Silverstone, Adrenaline Red and Apex Blue. All 4 colour versions, black, silver, red and blue, use flinky enamel dials. And I can tell you, it's absolutely mesmerising. It has a sunburst pattern to it, or sunray pattern to it, rather like a sunray dial, but it's got a textured finish. It's got a 3D effect, rather like a guilloche dial. So what we've got here is we've got the very best of guilloche, very best of textured, and very best of sunray, all combined together in this flinky enamel finish. So To clarify, rather than just being a flat, smooth dial as per a sunray dial or a glossy enamel dial, it's got this 3D effect. And what it does is it refracts the light. Rather than just reflecting it like a mirror as per a glossy enamel dial or a sunray dial, which is metallic, the flinky finish to the enamel has this mesmerising 3D effect. So you can see the lines like a sunray pattern to it, but it's got more texture to it than just a metallic sunray dial. And this silver version is just absolutely mesmerising. Now, there's something else I really like about it. The indices actually appear to float above the flinky enamel dial. Rather than just being applied indices on the enamel dial itself, what they've got is they've got this transparent disc, and the indices are applied to the transparent disc, and that actually sits above the flinky enamel dial, and it gives it this wonderful 3D effect. Now again, this is the first time I've seen this, floating indices above an enamel dial. When you tilt the piece at an oblique angle, it's just fantastic. It's got this real depth. It's got this 3D effect, because the silver mirror polished indices, which are beveled rather than just being flat, they actually appear to float above the dial. And it's just incredible. The dial itself, above the flinky enamel dial, is invisible. And it gives this depth, it gives this 3D effect that I've never seen on other pieces. And I'm just going to show you the Adrenaline Red flinky enamel dial for contrast. Now, this one has a gradient finish to it. It's lighter red in the centre, and then it graduates. It's a gradient flinky enamel dial. It's darker red around the chapter ring, as you can see. But when you tilt it at an oblique angle, you can see the way it refracts the light. It's got this slight metallic sheen to it. It's not as shiny and reflective as a glossy enamel dial, which is flat and smooth. This has a more textured finish, but the actual pattern of the flinky enamel dial has a sunray pattern to it. And I absolutely love the way it reflects the light and refracts it. But again, we have these floating indices because they sit upon this disc, which is transparent, and it sits above the flinky enamel dial. Wonderful depth to it, just looks fantastic. This really does remind me of a Holy Trinity piece at 30,000 plus euro from Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet or Vacheron Constantin. This does not say to me 2,400 euro, this says to me 30,000 plus euro dial execution, indices, flinky enamel dial, floating indices above the dial. It's just mesmerising. So 4 colour options, black, silver, red and blue. Now, rest of the specification. So 70 metres of hermetic seal. Now, 2-year international warranty can be extended to 5 years, as I've detailed. So we have BGW9 Superluminova on the applied indices and also the handset. Now, critically, subjectively, and I'm being very critical here, I'm trying to find faults with this watch. I'm trying to look at something I dislike. The handset I'd like to see increased in proportion. Dolphin hands, but the hands, now just bear with me, I'm going to move the hour hand out of the way of the minute hand better so you can sit better on this Silverstone version. I think they should have made the handset slightly larger. Now I appreciate they do have some limits to it because of course we have a square dial or rectangle dial versus a round dial, so of course they are limited because of the dial shape being a rectangle versus being a circle, how long they can make the handsets. But nonetheless, the minute hand looks okay because it extends all the way to the floating indices. That's fair enough, it's dolphin shaped. But the hour hand looks short and stubby, so I'd like to see that lengthened. Also, the arrowhead tip on the second hand, I'd like to see it lengthened slightly. Now of course it's not going to extend all the way to the chapter ring around the edge of the transparent dial sitting above the flinky enamel dial because of the shape. It's rectangular versus being round, but nonetheless I think they could scale up the proportions of the handsets. That would improve the legibility and also aesthetically, but it does have an Art Deco style to the shape of the beveled indices and also the dolphin handset. So shape is good, finishing is good, just think the proportions of the handset could be increased. What I like about it is the bevel 3D effect to the Flux emblem, which is applied directly to the flinky enamel dial. So, excellent. Legibility is good. I like the perfect symmetry of the dial because it is a no-date complication piece. So to clarify, this is powered by the Lejeune Perret caliber LJPG 101FX, which is effectively the no-date version of the LJPG 100. A movement which I've previously reviewed, and if you've watched that review you'll know it's one of my personal favourite calibers. It's technically excellent, the 68-hour power reserve. So the LJPG 101 used in this piece is simply the no-date version of the LJPG 100, which is the date version respectively. So 904L stainless steel, hardened to 800 HV, 800 hardness thickness, longitudinal brushed satin finishing to the top of the bezel, absolutely gorgeous fine grained satin finishing, large mirror polished bevels on the edges of the bezel, and the mirror polishing is stellar. In terms of case finishing to the hardened 904L stainless steel, 800 HV hardness rating, this is high tier level. Make no mistake, we're not looking at mid tier 500 to 5,000 euro case finishing. This is 10,000 plus euro high tier level. It's equal in quality to the very best of Rolex case finishing, and I would actually say it's as good as the very best of Grand Seiko Zaratsu case finishing, which is some of the best I've seen. In terms of mirror polishing to the bevels, in terms of brushed satin finishing to the top of the tonneau case, it is stellar. It is Grand Seiko Zaratsu level. What I like about the flanks, cutouts, it gives it a futuristic or sci-fi look, and this makes a refreshing change. And what I like about this Flux Quadras is it is entirely an original design. Often new micro brands use the less risky default option of producing a Rolex, Tudor or Omega homage, because of course that satisfies demand in the mid-tier between 500 and 5,000 euro, and therefore it's low risk. They can produce a Rolex, Tudor or Omega homage and they know it's going to sell in significant volume. It's more risky to produce an original design as a first release or novelty because there's a risk that the market doesn't have hunger for it and it doesn't sell in enough volume to make continued production sustainable. This is an original design. If you look at the flanks, they're not slab-sided flanks. They're not simply brushed satin finished or mirror polished. What we've got here is complex case finishing because we have cutouts in the flanks and then we have brushed satin finishing. Then we have large mirror polished bevels to the bezel. And this adds interest to the flanks but also reduces the meat. And of course it reduces the heft of the piece down to only 153 grams, which is very impressive for a 41mm tonneau case with a bracelet. So, looks good, finishing is fantastic, the cutouts give it a futuristic or sci-fi contemporary look rather than a vintage aesthetic of slab sides. Looks good, finishing is stellar. No sharp edges to the cutout flanks whatsoever. The undercuts to the flanks have been deburred and chamfered with large bevels. No sharp corners to the tips of the lugs. It is absolutely stellar case finishing. Let's look at the bracelet in detail. So, bracelet, as you can see, has 20mm lug width and it is integrated. Nice aggressive taper. The luster to this hardened 904L stainless steel is stellar. Now, in terms of articulation, it has minimal articulation. The end link in the bracelet doesn't pivot as much as a female pivoted end link. It's rather like a male end link. Now, I'm not going to be critical of this, and when I show you in the wrist shot, you'll understand why. Although it doesn't have much articulation, the curvature of this is fantastic because the curvature, regardless of wrist size, I'll show you in the wrist shots, it pulls very snug to the wrist. Has a futuristic or sci-fi appeal to it, but the thing I like about it is the fit. The comfort level and feel-good factor of the end links and the tonneau case is stellar. It blends very well into the tonneau case, and this large end link in the bracelet, which is quick release, it fits very well. It flows very nicely. So they've got the curvature of the end link and the curvature of the tonneau case perfected. And we've got this large mirror polished bevel which runs around the bezel on the top of the tonneau case. The curvature is absolutely beautiful. This wraps around the wrist very well. It doesn't sit on top of the wrist like a thick slab of 904L stainless steel. So let's look at the finishing to the bracelet. Absolutely gorgeous luster to it, very fine grained satin finishing, nice large mirror polished bevels on the edges which mark the transition between the body and the flanks. No sharp edges whatsoever, no sharp edge to the top edge or the lower edge of the bracelet, and the flanks of the bracelet are longitudinally brushed satin finish. What I like about it is it has a nice aggressive taper from the head of the piece down to the micro adjustment clasp, but also it aggressively tapers down in thickness. Now this is something Flux have got it correct, and they deserve credit because this is a novelty, this is a new release, this is their first piece. But often integrated bracelet pieces, you'll all be familiar with this, the problem is the links are too thick. They're thick at the head of the piece, but then they don't taper down to the bracelet in thickness. There's too much meat at the head of the piece, and every one of the links has the same thick profile. Flux have got it correct because if you look at the head of the piece, you can see the links are thicker at the head of the piece, but then they taper down in thickness as you go down to the micro adjustment clasp. And when you get down to the micro adjustment clasp, these links are very thin. And of course that improves the comfort level and feel good factor, reduces some of the meat on the bracelet, And just look at the articulation. It's absolutely stellar. Now, to put this into perspective, it doesn't articulate as much as a Jubilee style, Oyster style, Beads of Rice style or flat link bracelets, but nonetheless, it's fluid. Doesn't rattle, it's not a sloppy bracelet, luster of it is fantastic, and I like the profiling, the curvature of each links. It has a futuristical sci-fi aesthetic. This is a modern piece, this is contemporary, and I absolutely love the luster of it. The 904L has been brushed satin finished to the highest levels. This is high tier level bracelet finishing, doesn't pull arm hairs, doesn't feel sloppy, doesn't rattle. Let's check the other side for continuity. Again, the end link in the bracelet articulates enough. It's like a male end link. Doesn't articulate as much as a female put end link, but in terms of play, doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side to side, up and down play. Let's check the other side for play. Again, articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have excess play in any direction. Quality control, build quality tolerances are stellar. Now, if you look at the flanks, this is something I like. There's no push pins. There's no screw pins either. This is a unique bracelet design, and I'm going to show you the underside of it. As an alternative to push pins, pins and collars or split pins, and as an alternative to 1.2mm or 1.6mm screw pins, which are the industry standard, Flux have come up with a toolless bracelet resizing mechanism. This is an original design. This is the kind of quick release system one would expect to see on a high tier piece costing €10,000+. Now you can see on these links, they have button pushes and they're engraved with push. There's also an arrow of direction. Now I'm just going to take off my glove to make it easier to depress it with my thumbnail or fingernail. It's very easy to resize this bracelet. So just bear with me, I'll get the camera to autofocus. You can see there are 5 removable links on the 6 side, 5 removable links on the 12 side, and they've each got the same mirror polished buttons. With push, there's also an arrow of direction. You simply press your thumbnail into the button and the bracelet comes apart. Now just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on the underside, because I want you to see the engineering that's gone into this. Build quality. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to autofocus on it because this is stellar. Build quality, quality control, materials and finishing to the links are stellar. I'll show you the other side, the male side. Now you can see, you can't get this wrong because, just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. What they've done is they've engraved arrow direction heads, and this means you know which way round to push the links together. And it is intuitive because you've got the push buttons with push engraved. And all you have to do when you're resizing the bracelet links is, I'll remove one to show you. You simply press your thumbnail or fingernail into the button push, like so, and then it comes apart. Just bear with me, I'll do it. You've got to press it in hard, and then it comes apart. Just bear with me, and I'll do it with my fingernail. Oh, sorry, I'm actually pressing the wrong one. So, you go to the next link, you press it in with your thumbnail, and then it comes apart. I was actually pressing in the push in this link, which is for joining it together. So you go to the next link, so I'll demonstrate it again. So when you want to resize the bracelet, you want to remove a link, you don't press this push, you press the next one in the bracelet. So you press it in with your thumbnail, and it comes apart freely. Pushing it together, I'm just going to take off my other glove to make it easier to do it on camera, because it's fiddly when you're wearing a glove. So, what you do to push it back together is you simply press your thumbnail into it, and then it's like a spring bar. You push it together, like so. And as you can see, I've just added one link. It snaps together with a nice positive click, and I'm going to put another link in. So again, it's got a direction of arrow. Just bear with me. Right, so engraved, you've got a direction of arrow. That's the way you push the links together. So you press your thumbnail into it, like a spring bar, and that pulls in the two ends. Just bear with me, I've accidentally pressed in the other one. That does take... and now it's come apart. This is actually a good test to do it on camera. And as you know, I don't edit out mistakes to appear flawless, I leave them in. So in my 639 videos, there's a plethora of verbal and visual mistakes. I don't edit them out to appear flawless. So pressing it in with your thumb, and then what you do is you push it together. And it's actually tricky to do on camera without making a mistake. Obviously it'd be easier if you lay it down on the desk, but then you wouldn't be able to see it. So you press it in and it fits together like so. Just bear with me, I'll do it. Right, so that's joined. So There, I've added 2 links to it. That's how easy it is. Now with practice it becomes easier, and bear in mind this is the first time I've ever done it. So, pushing in this one again, and we'll join the link one more time. So, press in the push and it clicks together. So as you can see, the more you do it, the quicker you get at it. Now I'm going to join it back up. So we'll see if we can do it on camera without making mistakes. So push in the button push with my thumbnail, just bear with me, and then join it back together. This is a good test to see, can it actually be done? Yes, it works. Just bear with me, I'll put that one back in. Perfect. One more. There's one that wasn't fully engaged. Good test to do it on camera to see actually how is it in reality. So it does take some practice. The risk is when you press in the buttons, they're quite fine. So what you've got to be careful of is not accidentally pressing 2 buttons simultaneously. So what you need to do is press in your thumbnail into it, but not press the one before the one you're sizing. So it does take some practice with toolless. That's fully engaged. Right, so let's join it back up. Press the thumbnail into it. There we go, it's gone together the first time. So you can see, what I did there was, accidentally, I removed 3 links and then I've put it back together. So we've got 5 removable links on the 6 o'clock side and the same 5 removable links on the 12 o'clock side. So 10 removable links in total. Now, just bear with me, I'm going to put my gloves back on and I'll continue. That's not the only benefit of this bracelet, as if that wasn't enough. So you don't need a screwdriver for a 1.2 or 1.6mm screw pin. The other thing you don't need is a push pin tool to resize the bracelet. Now, end links, they also have the same push buttons. So you simply put your index finger or thumbnail into it and then it comes apart like so. Now, just bear with me and I'll show you. The FKM floor rubber strap has the same system. It also has this push button, so just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus. When you press in your thumbnail or your index fingernail, it depresses this lever, as you can see. Just bear with me and I'll do it. You can see it moves the lever. So as an alternative to conventional spring bars, it's got this lever which grips into the internal lugs of the tonneau case. And this is a credible alternative. Now the engineering that's gone into this is fantastic. So what they've done is they've moulded in this stainless steel tooth, and of course that slots into the case. And it engages very well. So I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to put it into the case and just see how easy is it to fit. So you press in the button with your thumbnail and then you push it into the case. First time. And it's solid. This is much better than a spring bar. So rather than using a spring bar tool, you don't need that. You simply press in the button and as you can see, it's a really tight fit. It locates first time, every time. It's not fiddly. And I can tell you, this is not going to come out accidentally. Now, when I twist it, it's a nice tight fit because it has this 904L tooth engaged into the case. It's locked in. And just bear with me, I'm going to remove it. So you simply press in the button with your thumbnail or index fingernail and it releases. And it releases really easily. This is a far better system than using spring bars. Now, if you look internally in the case, just bear with me, I'll get it to focus. You can see it has this slot in the 904L tonneau case. And that slot, this tooth, just bear with me, I'll get it to focus. That tooth perfectly engages into it, so you can't accidentally misalign it. So you press in the button with your thumbnail, and you simply align the end of the strap, and it slots in, locates, the tooth goes into the hole in the case first time, and it locks in with a nice positive click. This is fantastic. So changing the bracelet for the strap is toolless. You do not need a spring bar tool, and you can remove the FKM floor rubber strap simply by pressing in the button, like so. This is fantastic. The engineering that's gone into this. Now I'm just going to test it out with the bracelet. As you can see, again, just bear with me, I'll get it to focus. You can see the end link has this 904L tooth, and this engages in the slot in the tonneau case. So you press in the button with your thumbnail, align the end link, and then it slots in. And it's got a nice positive click. Just bear with me, I'll do it again. I didn't get it located before I released. First time, well, second time, you can see, nice tight fit. That's not going to come out. It's very solid. I would say it's better in terms of durability, reliability, execution. It's better than a spring bar. I would have more confidence in this not coming out. So that's not the only benefits, as if that wasn't enough. So we've got toolless resizing, 10 removable links, 5 on the 6 side, 5 on the 12 side. Rather than quick release stainless steel spring bars with spring bar tools, we've got these buttons. Excellent. But in addition to that, the clasp is stellar. And I'll show you why it's stellar. Now, you can see it's rather like a butterfly clasp, but it's not a butterfly clasp with 2 button push triggers on the flanks. Often with butterfly clasp, we are all familiar with the problem. Without half links, it's difficult to get the correct fit because sometimes adding or subtracting one full link from an integrated bracelet with a butterfly clasp doesn't give the desired fit. The clasp or the bracelet will either be too tight or too loose. But what I like about this one is, rather than having a conventional butterfly clasp, it's spring loaded. It has a leaf spring, as you can see. And the leaf spring is again made from 904L stainless steel, which of course is hardened to 800 HV, 800 hardness Vickers. It's signed with high definition engraving with Flux watches. Quality of the finishing is stellar. No sharp edges to the top edge, low edge or flanks. Brush satin finishing is stellar. No sharp corners to the internals. Let's check the hinge pins. Left hand outer hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. No play whatsoever. Left hand inner hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, albeit it is spring loaded due to the leaf spring. No play whatsoever, nice and tight friction interference fit. Right hand inner hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, albeit it is spring loaded with a leaf spring. No play whatsoever, nice and tight. Finally, right hand outer hinge pin articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. No play whatsoever. This is one of the very best butterfly style clasps I have reviewed on my channel with a leaf spring. Stellar. They've got it correct. This is a novelty. This is a new release. And Flux, for a new microbrand, they have got everything perfected on their first release, their first novelty. Left hand outer, left hand inner, right hand outer. All 4 hinge pins are friction interference fit. This is an example to other mid-tier and other mid-tier microbrands and brands of how to get it correct between 500 and 5,000 euro. Stellar. It snaps shut with a nice positive click, the left and the right hand portion. Now they don't overlap, so it doesn't matter if you close the left or the right hand portion first. It doesn't overlap, but it's heavily spring loaded, so no risk of it accidentally opening when on wrist with wrist pressure. Snap shut with a really heavily sprung loaded action, and both the left and the right hand portions mate very well. As you can see, bevels line up. Now that's not the only benefit. If you look at the underside, they've thought this through very well. So we're all familiar with the problem. Micro adjustment. There is no micro adjustment on a butterfly clasp, and therefore when the wrist swells up in warmer weather or when one is active, of course it's then tight and uncomfortable. You don't have any on the fly adjustment. This does have on the fly adjustment. If you look at the underside, you can see it says push, and there's a scallop or recess for your finger or thumb, and there's a silver button, as you can see, mirror polished with push. And what you do is you put your index finger into it and then you press it, and it deploys, as you can see, by 2.5 millimeters. Now on the other side you have the same again, a mirror image of it. You have this mirror polished push button with a scallop or recess for your index finger, and you put your index finger in the recess or scallop, press it in, and then it deploys, as you can see, 2.5 millimeters. So what you have, and I'll close it to show you, is you have, this is now deployed, 2.5 on the fly adjustment on the 12 o'clock side, 2.5 on the fly adjustment on the 6 o'clock side. 2.5 plus 2.5 is 5 millimeters of on the fly adjustment, rather like a 5 millimeter Rolex EasyLink extension used on the Oyster Perpetual, for example. And this is beneficial because you can see this is like a half link on the 6 o'clock side and a half link on the 12 o'clock side of on the fly adjustment. And I can tell you what I like about it is it's smooth. When you press in that button, it deploys smoothly and it doesn't rattle. It's not sloppy, doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side to side, up and down play. And same on the other side, doesn't have excess longitudinal, lateral, side to side, up and down play. It's not sloppy, but the bracelet articulates, it flows nicely, and I'll show you this in the wrist shot. So what we've got here is innovation, And rather than just taking the less expensive and the default option, the less risky option of producing a Rolex, Tudor or Omega homage, they've come up with an entirely original design. A toolless bracelet. You do not need to use a screwdriver or a pushpin tool to resize the bracelet. There are no pushpins, there are no screw pins. You simply press the buttons. And also you don't need a spring bar tool to remove the bracelet and fit the FKM floor rubber strap. It's toolless. You simply press the button in the end links. And of course, you've got on the fly adjustment. 2.5mm on the 6, 2.5mm on the 12 side, 5mm total. This is better than any butterfly clasp I've seen. And you can see the leaf spring means you don't even have to press 2 button push triggers. The other benefit is, look how thin this is. This is incredibly low profile and thin. Often with butterfly clasps, they're very bulky. With deployant clasps, they're very bulky. Even with buckle and tang clasps that use a butterfly clasp or a deployant beneath it, they have several layers. Too much meat on the bracelet, and of course then it sticks out around the wrist. It's proud. This is very slender, and when it's folded up, you can see this is also very slender. We don't have a lot of meat. The clasp isn't bulky like a micro adjustment clasp. This will fit you if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist. This will fit you with a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. It is fantastic. The engineering that's gone into this is high tier level. This is €10,000+ engineering. And I think it's fantastic as an alternative to a micro adjustment clasp like a glide lock style clasp or a ratcheting mechanism, which would be too bulky for an integrated bracelet. This is good. 2.5 on the 6, 2.5 on the 12 o'clock side, and it works very well. Now I'll just test closing it back up to see how smooth it is. So, unlike a ratcheting mechanism, you can't accidentally close it up simply by pressing it together. You have to press in your index finger into the button and then it closes up smoothly. As you can see, gap is now reduced. Same on the other side. Push your index finger in, underneath, closes up. Silky smooth. This is stellar. It's absolutely stellar. Now let's look at the Caseback in detail. So, sapphire crystal glazed exhibition Caseback. Now, this is a modified Le Jouperet caliber LJPG101FX. Now the reason why I say it's modified is look at the rotor. The rotor isn't the standard LJPG101 rotor. Around the circumference, and just bear with me, I'll get it to spin. What you have is you've got a turbine style rotor. Now they call this a custom air blade rotor because it looks like a turbine, and the rotor actually rotates around the circumference, and rather than just being a solid steel rotor, for example, what they've done is they've got this custom air blade rotor which looks like a turbine, and it adds interest to it. So it's like a transparent disc, so you can see the movements all the way through the exhibition Caseback. But just bear with me, I'll get it to rotate. Difficult to get it to do on camera because there is friction in it, but point I'm making is this does not just have a standard rotor, it's got this turbine style custom airblade rotor in red. Very interesting, adds interest to the piece. I really like it, and I think they deserve credit because again, everything about this is a unique design. So in terms of the finishing, underside to the head of the piece is excellent. The cutouts have large bevels and it reduces some of the meat, so this piece is still only 153 grams, even with a long bracelet, and it is 41mm. Brushed satin finishing is stellar. Exhibition Caseback, the stainless steel portion is engraved with a serial number. And I want to clarify, this is one of 100 numbered pieces, so this is 000/100. Each of the colour versions will be 100 production runs. Vintage black, silverstone, adrenaline red and apex blue, all of 100. So circumference is engraved with the specification reference number for the piece, which is excellent. What I like about the Caseback is it's not a very deep bubble back Caseback. Now, it does need some depth because the Le Jouperet caliber LJPG101FX is a deep caliber. It does have a very high power reserve of 68 hours. So, for example, has an additional 28 hours over a Sellita SW200-1, a Soprod P024, or an ETA 2824-2. 68 hours is fantastic, but of course it is a deep caliber as a result, does need some additional clearance. 70 metres of hermetic seal is good. It's a rather odd water resistance rating. The industry standards are 50 or 100 or 200. 70 is better than 50, but not as good as 100, of course. But for a daily wear piece, 50 would suffice. 4 flathead screws securing the exhibition case back. Sapphire crystal glazing is good, and the quality of the finishing is good. I like it's perfectly flat in the centre. So let's test the screw down crown execution. Now, detail here. I'm going to show you something which I haven't seen on other mid-tier pieces. The crown is solid 904L hardened 800 HV stainless steel. Coin edge finish, nice large chamfer which deletes the tips of the coin edge teeth. And we've got the embossed Flux emblem which is brushed satin finished and very well proportioned. Now, when I unscrew it, silky smooth screw down crown execution. But what I like about it, and I haven't seen this on a mid-tier piece, they've got this anodised red ring, and the anodised red ring is around the crown tube. This was used on dive watches, red rings, and the idea behind it was to warn the diver that the crown was unscrewed, because sometimes accidentally, for example, divers would unscrew the crown to manually wind a movement or, for example, set the time, and they would forget to screw down the crown fully. But when you have this red ring, like on a dive watch, it actually warns the collector that the crown is not screwed down, and therefore, of course, the hermetic seal has been breached and water could enter the case. So it's good. The anodised ring is aesthetically pleasing, but also serves a meaningful purpose, because you can now see crown is not screwed down, and of course, when you screw down the crown fully, the red anodised ring disappears inside the crown. It fits on the end of or around the stainless steel crown tube. 70 metres of hermetic seal is odd, but it's good. And as you can see, it's very good, because when it's screwed down, you can't see the anodised red ring. But when it is unscrewed, which is silky smooth, you can now see the red anodised ring, and that warns you need to screw it down. It's good. So, when it's unscrewed, we're now in the manual wind position, and one can manually wind the Lume caliber LJPG 101FX automatic to its maximum 68-hour power reserve. Now, in terms of smoothness, it feels exactly the same as manually winding an SW200-1, a P024 or an ETA 2824-2 respectively. It's not as smooth as a 9015 or a 9039. Does feel smoother than an NH35A, which you'll all be familiar with, so I like it. It doesn't feel rough and gritty like a PT5000, it doesn't feel too stiff, so it feels smooth, but it does have heavy resistance. You can feel the tension in the mainspring building up to 68 hours, and of course you're going to feel that additional tension because 68 hours is 28 hours more power reserve than an SW200-1 with 40. So of course the mainspring does take some more clockwise turns. To clarify, it doesn't take 68 turns, that's the benefit. 40 clockwise turns will fully manually wind an SW200-1 with 40 hours, that's a given. With the Lejeune caliber LJPG 101FX, it takes 50 clockwise turns to fully manually wind the mainspring when it's fully exhausted and the movement has stopped dead. So 50 clockwise turns is enough, and you can feel the tension. It has more tension than an SW200-1 because it's 68 hours versus 40. But it's not negative. I don't regard it as detrimental. Smoothness is definitely better than a PT5000. Now, as this is the no-date version of the LJPG 100, there is no phantom date setting position. Putting it out to the first click position is the final click. We're now in the time setting position. It does have hacking. You can see the arrowhead tip to the second hand has now stopped dead, so therefore it's possible to set the time precisely to the second. Feels smooth. In terms of smoothness, it doesn't feel stiff, doesn't feel rough or gritty. Clockwise and anti-clockwise feels nice and smooth. Does feel heavier than a 9015 or a 9039. Feels heavier than an NH35A. Feels the same as an SW200-1, a P024, or an ETA 2824-2. It's got that same kind of feeling to the meshing of the gearing. Now, minimal backplay, that's something I like. The meshing of the gearing feels precise, it feels reliable and robust, but much less backplay than on a PT5000 or an SW200-1. I like it. When you rotate the 904L hardened crown, you don't have to take up a lot of slack. There's an almost immediate response to the Dauphine minute hand. You don't have to take up a lot of slack, clockwise and anti-clockwise. It's very responsive. It feels refined. And that's something I really liked about the Lejeune caliber LJPG 100 I reviewed, which is the date version. The refinement. It really is a level above the 9015 and a level above the 9039, which are premium 9000 calibers from Miyota. And I really like Le Jouperet calibers for that reason. They have that additional smoothness, that refinement. In terms of smoothness when setting the time, it does feel smoother than an SW200-1. I really like it. Pushing back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. The second hand begins to sweep around at the characteristic 4Hz sweep. You'll know this from my previous reviews. I find 4Hz to be aesthetically pleasing because it doesn't stutter or judder as per 3Hz, such as an NH35A or an 8215 running at 21,600 vibrations per hour. 28,800 vibrations per hour has a nice smooth sweep. 4Hz is very smooth. Let's test screwing the crown back down. Instant thread pickup. There's a perfect interface between the internal thread of the 904L stainless steel crown and the external thread of the 904L stainless steel crown tube. 70 meters is odd, but it's strong. Now, I'll give you a wrist shot of both pieces. So just bear with me. I'm going to remove my Concord 40, and then I will give you a wrist shot of the bracelet piece, which is the Silverstone version, and also the FKM floor rubber strap version, which is the Adrenaline Red. Now, I haven't sized the bracelet, and I want to show you its absolute maximum. What I like about it is this clasp is fantastic. I love the way it snaps together. The leaf spring is very heavily sprung loaded. So to clarify, you're not going to accidentally deploy it. The benefit is there are no buttons on the left and the right hand flank as per a deployant or as per a butterfly clasp. So it's nice and slender. But it opens with a nice heavy spring loaded click to the leaf spring. Both the left and the right hand portions. This is stellar engineering. It really is like high tier level. And this really says to me 10,000 plus euro quality, build quality, quality control, materials, finishing. I love the way it snaps together. And also the left-hand portion, the 6 o'clock side. It's got this nice, loud, audible click. It feels like a magnetic attraction, like two magnets which are really pulling together. That's the feeling of it. Now, it's not magnetic, but it's got that kind of feeling. The leaf spring is so heavily sprung loaded, it pulls both halves of the clasp together with a real heavy, feels like a magnetic attraction. And as you can see, flows around the wrist very well. Low profile. This is lower profile. Now you can see the benefit of the internals being slender. Regardless of wrist size, 6 to 7 inch, 7 to 8 inch plus. Look how flat that is. The curvature is fantastic. The proportions are fantastic. This clasp blends into the bracelet. It flows very nicely, and the luster of the 904L, which is 800 HV hardness, is just incredible. This does not say to me mid-tier piece between 500 and 5,000 euro. This bracelet says to me 10,000 plus. Just stellar. Looks good, feels good. No sharp edges to the undercuts. Doesn't pull arm hairs. Feels smooth, feels comfortable, flows. Now, as I've detailed, what I like about this is, look at the flow of the bracelet from the tonneau case to the end link. It curves beautifully. And of course, there's no gap whatsoever. They've got this tonneau case wrapping around the wrist with perfect curvature. No gaps beneath the tips of the lugs of the tonneau case. I like the cutouts in the flanks. It reduces the meat. But the point is, even on a 6 to 7 inch wrist, look how closely this bracelet fits to the wrist. It's not a bulky slab of 316L grade stainless steel with a bulky, thick integrated bracelet. Yes, the bracelet is thicker at the lug end, but it then aggressively tapers down in thickness as you get down to the clasp, and it really flows around the wrist very well. It's just an incredibly comfortable bracelet. Looks good, feels good. Clasp isn't too bulky. Taper is aggressive, 26mm, tapering down to 18. Now, normally I'd be critical of that because 20 to 16 is the perfection personified taper. 22 to 18 is the other industry standard for good reason. But however, this does have a large tonneau case at 41mm, therefore it does need some meat on the bracelet to balance it. So in this case I'm not going to be critical because a 41 tonneau case does need a wide bracelet, a flared bracelet. 26 to 18 is an aggressive taper, does suit the piece because when you get down to the clasp bend it's 18 wide. And you can see it's nice and narrow because we don't have two button push triggers on the flanks. It's not a bulky micro adjustment clasp with lots of overhang. The curvature of this clasp is fantastic. I like its low profile. Luster is good. Micro adjustment works well. Stellar. Looks good, feels good. The luster of that 904L 800 HV hardness is just fantastic. Absolutely gorgeous. The luster is Rolex Oyster Steel level. Rolex use 904L Oyster Steel. That's the luster we're looking at. The brushed satin finishing is 10,000 plus euro level. Stellar. Tonneau case is beautiful. I like the curvature of the tonneau crystal. 5 layers of AR is beneficial because when you look at it straight on, as you can see, the 5 layers of AR makes it look invisible. And of course, then you can see the full beauty of the flinky enamel dial and the actual transparent dial with the floating indices sitting above it with that 3D effect. This Silverstone version is absolutely mesmerising. It's the feel-good factor and the comfort level of this piece is incredible. It really doesn't feel or look like a 41. In terms of comfort level, this feels like a 39. What I like about it is the lack of heft. Although it has a long bracelet, and to clarify, I can easily slide an index finger beneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. This will fit up to even a 9-inch wrist size. What I like about it is this is only 3 grams above the sweet spot. I often refer to 150 grams as being the sweet spot for a bracelet piece, and that's for a 39 or a 40. This is 41, and of course it does have a tonneau case which adds some meat. But this is the benefit of the cutouts or the recesses in the flanks. This deletes some of the meat, and of course we've got aggressive undercuts on the flanks of the tonneau case on the underside. This deletes meat. Very well thought through by Flux, because this reduces the piece down from say 165 grams down to only 153 due to the reduction of the flanks with the cutouts and also the undercuts. So, although it is a thick piece at 11.8 for a tonneau, it's actually very good. 11.8 is the kind of thickness one would expect with a quartz powered piece or alternatively a mechanical manual wind piece without a rotor, but you have to bear in mind this has a very high power reserve. Often high power reserve calibers which are automatic are very thick and deep, and of course they need a deep case to house them. This is only 11.8. It's absolutely incredible. Low profile. Needless to say, this will easily slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts. Anything below 13mm is the sweet spot. So what I like about it is 2 things. It doesn't sit on top of the wrist like a thick slab of 316L grade stainless steel or 904L stainless steel, which it actually is. This wraps around the wrist very nicely. It's got nice curvature, so that's one thing. It's low profile at 11.8. The other thing I like about it is the lack of heft. It's only 153 grams, and of course that's with a very long bracelet, even to fit up to a 9-inch wrist. So needless to say, even I would remove 4 links from this bracelet. That would reduce it to circa 140 to 145. But the bracelet looks good and feels good. When it floats up and down the wrist, it doesn't pull arm hairs, doesn't scratch the wrist, no sharp edges to the flanks. And in terms of the comfort level, it is 10 out of 10. Luster is beautiful, looks good, feels good, tonneau case looks good. I love the floating indices above the flinky enamel dial. This Silverstone version is absolutely gorgeous. It's just mesmerising. So, I'll do the same with the rubber strap version. Now, FKM floor rubber. This is the adrenaline red version, and as I've demonstrated, very easy to exchange the bracelet for the strap. Now, I'll have it on its minimum to fit inside the watch box, but I'm going to actually move it to its maximum because I want to test just how far. Now, I want to show you the clasp in detail. There are 2 pins, as you can see, or spigots, and as you can see, one larger spigot and one smaller spigot, and these do a good job of locating in pairs of holes. So you can see the larger one, which has like a rivet's head on the end of the spigot, that one locks the strap to the clasp, and the other one is simply a locating one without the rivet head. But this is now on its maximum. So FKM floor rubber strap. So to remind you and clarify, FKM floor rubber is a compromise between natural rubber and NBR. NBR is nitrile butadiene rubber. Nitrile butadiene rubber is often used in the automotive and aeronautical industries because it is acid, chemical and ultraviolet light resistant, and it's particularly suitable in those hostile environments due to the aforementioned properties. It's also used in watch straps because of course NBR or nitrile butadiene rubber is incredibly durable and robust. So that's at the upper end of the spectrum, natural rubber and nitrile butadiene rubber. At the other end of the strap spectrum we have silicone rubber, which you're all familiar with. Silicone rubber is very soft and supple. That's the benefits. The negative is it's not as durable and robust. It's not as hard and durable with daily wear and tear as natural rubber or NBR. So silicone rubber is comfortable but not durable. Natural rubber is stiffer and therefore not as comfortable. NBR is stiffer and not as comfortable but more durable. In between the two, between natural and NBR at one end of the spectrum and silicone rubber at the other end of the spectrum, we have this. This is floor rubber or FKM. And FKM really is a compromise between the two. It's stiffer and therefore not as comfortable as silicone rubber. That's the negative. The benefit is it is as durable and robust with daily wear and tear as natural rubber or NBR, nitrile butadiene. It's the perfect compromise. So it is soft and supple. It doesn't require any breaking in. Not as soft and supple as silicone rubber, but good enough. But in terms of durability, it is stellar. It's as good as natural rubber or NBR, nitrile butadiene. Now, the profiling of this FKM floor rubber strap is some of the best I've seen. Perfectly smooth on the flanks. What I like about it is it's thicker and reinforced around the 904L stainless steel insert, the tooth that fits into the slot in the tonneau case with the quick release button, as I've demonstrated. So that's very well engineered. What I like about it is the curvature. It perfectly blends into the tonneau case. They've got the curvature correct as per the bracelet, and it tapers down aggressively in thickness but also in width. So very similar taper as on the bracelet, a nice aggressive taper, and on the underside it says 20 to 18. So 20 is the lug width, and of course 18 is the width when it gets down to the clasp. Textured finish to the top side adds interest to it, and it's very smooth. Despite being textured, it's not an aggressive textured moulded finish. It looks like a nice grid formation to it, and I like it. It adds interest and it gives the piece a high quality feel. Colour tone match is very good. The red tone matches the adrenaline red tone of the Flinky enamel dial, and of course the Flinky enamel dial on this adrenaline red version is graduated, or it's a gradient dial. It's lighter red in the centre, graduating to a darker red at the edge of the dial, so it's mesmerising when you look at the textured Flinky enamel finish. So it feels nice and stiff at the spring bar end. Well, I say spring bar end, it doesn't actually have spring bars. The lug end, where it needs to be reinforced, it's not going to accidentally come out. It's locked in very well. Feels reinforced, feels good. But at the clasp end, it's thinner and therefore more flexible. Now, there are enough holes to fit from a 6 to a 9-inch wrist. So this is now on its maximum size. Let's look at the clasp in detail. Now, what I like about the clasp, futuristic, sci-fi, contemporary design to it, angular profile to it, beautiful luster to the hardened 800 HV 904L stainless steel. Mirror polished bevels are done to perfection. Bevels on the edges, on the transitions, are done to perfection. Beautiful luster to it. Low profile, it's not too thick and bulky. I like the curvature to it, I like the angular profile to it. Now, doesn't have 2 button push triggers. Opens and closes with a nice positive click. Snaps shut with a nice positive click. It's audible, you can hear it and also feel it. You simply get a good grip with your index finger and thumb on the flanks, and then it pulls open freely. But it snaps shut with a nice positive lock. I love the feeling of it. Sounds good, feels good. Doesn't accidentally open. There's no risk of you catching it and it accidentally deploying or opening. So when you take a grip of it, you've got to give it a good hard pull to get it to open. It's not going to accidentally open. For example, if you brush against something or you rub against something, it's not going to catch it and accidentally flick it open. You have to really grip it hard and give it a good hard pull to get it to open. It feels secure. I like the security aspect. So when you close it, you've got to press it hard with your thumb. Nice heavy click. This lock is refined. They've got the balance correct. It closes with a nice positive click and also opens smoothly, but you've got to give it a good pull. I trust it. I don't think it's accidentally going to open despite not having 2 button push triggers. Now, internals. Brass satin finishing is high tier level. Make no mistake, we're not looking at mid tier finishing here. Build quality, quality control, materials and finishing, say to me €10,000+. Brass satin finishing to this solid milled 904L stainless steel clasp is stellar. No sharp edge to the top edge or the low edge of the flanks. The internals have been deburred and chamfered very well. Even on the underside, it has the same luster. Quality of the finishing is high tier level, €10,000+ level. No sharp corners to the internals. And let's check the hinge pin. Articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink. No play whatsoever. No lateral, longitudinal, side to side, up and down play, but it's not too stiff. This is perfected. Tolerances are interference, friction, fit. Let's check the right hand hinge pin, which is a spring bar. Articulates freely, doesn't feel stiff or kink, doesn't have any play whatsoever. Stellar. Just outstanding. And I like everything about it. It's thin, it's low profile, curvature is good for smaller wrists of 6 to 7, curvature is good for longer wrists of 7 to 8. Now, this is on its maximum extension. I want to show you just how long it can go. As you can see, a very long FKM floor rubber strap. 9 inches plus, no problems whatsoever. I'm on the final 2 holes. The 2 spigots or pins are fully engaged in the last 2 holes. And as you can see, even on my large 8-inch wrist, this is a very long FKM floor rubber strap. They thought this through very well. It will fit very large wrist size. Now, I'm going to actually size it up to fit my wrist because you can see it comfortably fits my large wrist. And of course, this will go down to a 6-inch minimum, up to a maximum 9-inch wrist size. So you can see plenty of length on the strap, and when it's closed, curvature is good because it curves inside it due to that nice curve. So I'm going to test this. This should be now sized to my wrist size. I can just get it around my glove, which is a snug fit. When I close it, perfect. This is very comfortable. In terms of comfort level, yes, it is stiffer than a silicone rubber strap. That's a given. It does feel slightly softer and more supple than a natural rubber or NBR, nitrile butadiene rubber strap. So really the balance is correct. It's robust, but it's softer and more supple than nitrile butadiene. FKM floor rubber looks good, feels good. Aggressive taper is correct. You can see the benefits. This clasp is low profile. It's not too thick, it's not too bulky, and you can see the curvature is good because that aggressive curvature means the internal strap, it curves around the wrist very well and looks good and feels good. I like the textured finish on the top side. It's perfectly smooth on the underside, which I'll show you. And you can see on my 8-inch wrist there are plenty of holes. 6-inch minimum, 9-inch plus maximum. Very long strap. So this is the Adrenaline red version. Flinky dial is absolutely gorgeous. Textured finish to the flinky enamel dial is just mesmerising. I love the gradient dial. Floating indices again are just mesmerising. This really feels much lighter. That's the thing I want you to be mindful of. It looks lower profile on the strap than the bracelet visually. Also feels lower profile. So I would say to you, my advice is if you have a smaller 6 to 7-inch wrist, definitely opt for the rubber strap version. If you have a larger 7 to 8-inch wrist, opt for the bracelet version. Reason why I say that, there's 50 grams of difference in the heft. So to remind you, bracelet version with all the links in the bracelet is 153 grams. This rubber strap version with a very long strap is 103 grams. So 153 for the bracelet, 103 grams for the strap version. 50 grams is a massive difference as one would expect. This one feels weightless on the wrist. Now you have to bear in mind this is a 41mm piece. But the benefit is it is only 11.8. And needless to say, anything below 13mm is the sweet spot. It will easily slip underneath the shirt cuff. So that's the benefit of this tonneau case. 5 layers of AR coating. Look at the piece straight on and you see the full beauty of the flinky enamel dial in Adrenaline red. Absolutely mesmerising. Gorgeous piece to look at. Curvature is good. Feels weightless. It doesn't actually feel like 103 grams. It doesn't feel like or look like a 41mm piece. This really feels more like a 39. Also looks more like a 39. It's deceptive because although it does have a large tonneau case, due to the curvature of it and the scalloping or the cutouts or the recesses to the flanks, it deletes a lot of the meat. So the aggressive taper on the FKM floor rubber strap and the clasp profiling actually makes this look and feel more like a 39 than a 41. The 103 grams is fantastic, but you're still getting the benefit of a very high power reserve of 68 hours from the Lejeune Perret caliber LJPG 101 FX. So I would say 6 to 7-inch wrist, rubber strap is the best option, and 7 to 8-inch wrist, bracelet version is the best option. Fantastic. I like everything about it. Comfort level is stellar, feel good factor is stellar. This rubber strap version, they really could not improve upon the comfort level. The bracelet version is comfortable, but the rubber strap really takes it to another level. So let's look at the strap in detail. Underside is textured, nice attention to detail because we have the Flux emblem, which is debossed rather than being embossed. And as you can see, 20 to 18 is stated. That refers to the lug width of the tooth, which fits into the case, and 18 is the width of the strap at the clasp end. So as you can see, quality of the mirror polishing to this clasp on this grey version of the strap is stellar. Snaps shut with a nice positive click. Now this is an alternative, and I want to clarify something. These two pieces you're looking at are pre-production prototypes of the Quadras, and the Quadras will be available in vintage black, silverstone, adrenaline red and apex blue. But nonetheless, they're going to offer it on the bracelet, and they're going to offer it on the FKM floor rubber straps in colour-coded options to match the flinky enamel dials. So, black, silver, red and blue. This is an alternative prototype clasp they designed and manufactured to test, and as you can see, this is the alternative. It's a 2-button push trigger system. So we have 2-button push triggers which are mirror polished on the flanks, and the internals are mirror polished throughout. I think the other clasp is the better option. So this prototype version of the clasp really is like a V1 version, and of course it's more bulky, does snap shut with a nice positive click, similar profiling to it, but it's just not as high quality level. Now I appreciate it's a prototype clasp, but of the two options, yes, it's signed with the Flux emblem engraved. 2-button push triggers work well, heavily sprung loaded, but this clasp, which is like a V1 clasp, it does work well, snaps shut with a nice positive click. Quality of the finishing to the strap is excellent, and I like it signed with Flux, as you can see. But of the two versions, this V2 version, as far as I'm concerned, this is high tier level, and this is a level above. So this is the one that they're going to be using when they put it into production in all colour versions: vintage black, silverstone, adrenaline red and apex blue. This doesn't have the 2-button push triggers, but it's a better mechanism because you simply open it, and you have to pull it hard, but it opens with a nice positive free action. When it snaps shut, it's got that nice positive click. Absolutely no risk of it accidentally coming undone. Quality of the finishing to this clasp is a level above the other one, and actually looks more aesthetically pleasing. The luster is better, the mirror polishing is better. This says to me €10,000+ level. It's a level above the other clasp. This does not say to me €500 to €5,000 mid-tier level. And the brushed satin finishing to the internals, this is done to a higher level. So this clasp is the production model clasp. It's better. And in terms of the two, this prototype one with the 2-button push triggers, this one is better. So I'm pleased to see this is the V2. This is what they're going to be using. Stellar. Right, so let's discuss the movement use. Now, before I do that, so I'm just going to put back on my Concorde 40 before I continue. Actually, before we'll do that, one thing I didn't do was a lume test of both pieces. So we must do that. So BGW9 Superluminova. As always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. So we'll do the bracelet version first with a silverstone dial, and then we'll do the adrenaline red FKM floor rubber strap version. Right, so that's now fully charged. And as you can see, has not disappointed. Now, interestingly, they've only lumed the indices at 12, 9, 6 and 3, rather than all the indices. I think they could improve upon this in the production models and apply lume to all the indices on the dial, not just the 12, 9, 6 and 3. Also, I'd like to see the dolphin hands scaled up in proportion. Now, as you can see, the problem, they are beveled indices, Art Deco style. And you can see, the problem is, the indices, because they're floating indices, sitting on a transparent disc or rectangle, which sits above the flinky enamel dial, it floats above the main dial. Problem is, they don't really allow for a lot of depth, because of course the indices are not applied to the flinky enamel dial itself. The indices are applied, all 12 indices, are applied to this transparent rectangle. And this transparent rectangle sits above, it floats above the flinky enamel dial. So it's technically excellent. You can see the indices are floating. They're not actually applied to the dial itself. They float above. But they've only applied BGW9 to the 12, 9, 6 and 3, as you can see. I'd like to see the same BGW9 applied to all 12 indices versus 4 out of 12. Problem is, it doesn't have a full 5 to 6 layers on the 12, 9, 6 and 3. And of course it doesn't have any BGW9 on the other indices. So I'd like to see either delete all the lume off the indices and just have them silver to give it a dress watch aesthetic or a daily wear aesthetic. Or alternatively, lume all 12. Either or, but not a mixture. For example, I think it's a mistake to have a mixture. Just lume 4 out of 12 indices and then you leave the other 8 not lumed. Either lume all of them or lume none of them, but not both. Now, Dolphin hands are okay, but they would benefit from being increased in length, as I've detailed, because they have 5 to 6, but the problem is they're very small. And of course, if they were larger, you would be able to see them better. So that's something they could consider. And really, the indices do need to have, I think, all 12 looms. Because if they loomed all 12, of course, you get the benefit of being able to read the time in the dark better. Just looming 12, 9, 6 and 3 isn't enough. I consider it a production cost-cutting measure in order to maximise profit margin per piece. But nonetheless, one has to be magnanimous because this piece is absolutely loaded with specification. 904L stainless steel versus 316L. It's not standard 200 HV hardness rating, it's 800 HV. And we've got the toolless bracelet links. We've got the button push quick release end links versus spring bars, and we've even got the micro adjustment on the clasp. So it is absolutely loaded. 5 layers of AR on the underside of the tonneau crystal, and it's got a Lejeune Perret LJ PG 101 FX, which is a stellar movement. So one has to be realistic. They've taken it to the limit of specification in other areas, so one has to expect some cost cutting to make it viable to retail it only €2,400. It's really a 5,000 plus piece at 2,400. That's what we're looking at in specification. So room for improvement on the BGW9. Simply they need to apply it to all 12 versus 4 out of the 12. And also they could scale up the proportions of the handset. Potency of the exciter is okay, but I think this is the one area they need to improve upon. Right, so let's discuss the movement use because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. So I'm actually going to undo the strap version, and then you'll be able to see it better than the bracelet version. So we've got this turbine style of rotor, which is transparent in the centre, which adds interest. So this is called a custom air blade rotor, and I like it. It adds interest to it. As you can see, it's red and white, and I like the way it's, rather than just being a solid steel rotor, you've got this turbine effect to it, and it's skeletonized. It's got cutouts in the turbine, or they call it the custom air blade rotor. So nice to see that spinning around the circumference of the movement rather than the solid rotor in the middle. So Lejeune Perret caliber LJPG 101 FX. I previously reviewed the date version, which is the Lejeune Perret caliber LJPG 100. So the 100 is the date version. The 101 you're looking at is the no date version. The architecture of both the 100 and the 101 you're looking at is the same. 24 joules, it runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 4 Hz. Has hand winding and hacking, which is used for complications. Just bear with me, I'll get the camera to focus on it. And it has an incredible 68-hour power reserve. That's the main benefit. So to remind you, the Solita SW200-1 has a 40-hour power reserve, which is the industry standard for automatics. This has an additional 28 hours. So it's a level above the SW200-1, it's a level above the Soprod P024, and it's a level above the ETA 2824-2, respectively. I also consider it to be a level above the Miyota 9015 and 9039, which are excellent movements. 68 hours is excellent. Now, the stated accuracy of the LJPG 101FX is plus or minus 12 seconds per day, a rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that this one has been very well regulated by Flux in 5 positions to chronometer accuracy. This one is running consistently at plus 2 seconds per day when it's fully wound to its maximum 68 hours. So just think about that for a moment. Chronometer accuracy is minus 4 to plus 6. This is well within the stated accuracy of plus or minus 12. It's running at plus 2. Plus 2 is actually better than that. It's within minus 4 to plus 6 chronometer grade. So Flux are regulating it. And bear in mind, this is a pre-production prototype. It's not a production model. Plus 2 is stellar. No negatives to the movement whatsoever. It's reliable. It's well proven. Build quality, quality control, materials and finishing are excellent. In terms of build quality, I regard it as equal quality to the standard grade of SW200-1. And what I like about it is, above all else, is the power reserve. 68 hours is excellent. Plus 2 seconds per day is excellent. Feels smooth to manually wind. Hand winding and hacking works well. Setting the time works well. No negatives to it whatsoever. To see the LJPG 101FX used in a mid-tier microband piece at €2,400 is exceptional. For example, they could have used the no-date version of the SW200-1, which is the SW200-1B. That would have cut production costs per piece and therefore increased profit margin per piece. Because bear in mind, the specification of this piece throughout is absolutely loaded. 904L, not 316L, and not only that, it's not standard 200 HV stainless steel, it is 800 HV hardened stainless steel. 5 layers of AR coating, BGW9. The specification is loaded. We've got the quick release end links in the FKM floor rubber strap. And we've again got the toolless bracelet resizing. We've also got the micro adjustment clasp. The specification is loaded throughout. So one could be magnanimous if they'd cut production costs in order to increase profit margin and use the SW200-1B, the Node 8 version of the 1A. But they haven't done that. They've taken the more expensive option of the Lejeune Perret caliber LJPG 101FX. It's technically excellent. It's a quality Swiss-made caliber, the Node 8 version of the LJPG 100. No, and I think they really deserve credit for that. It's an expensive movement. The LJPG 101FX is more expensive, the wholesale price per piece, regardless of MOQ, minimum order quantity. The wholesale price per piece is more expensive than the SW200-1, it's more expensive than the P024, it's more expensive than the ETA 2824-2, which are the other credible alternatives. They've taken the most expensive option of them all. 68 hours is beneficial versus 40, plus 2 seconds per day, stellar. So, lastly, I'll summarise both pieces. What do I think of them overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch meets 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So, the Quadras is available on Bracelet and FKM floor rubber strap you're looking at in 4 colour versions. All colour versions on Bracelet and rubber straps are the same price point. $2,800 which is €2,400, well within the mid-tier, €500 to €5,000 price point. Yes, this is unquestionably excellent quality, and yes, it is unquestionably excellent value at €2,400. To put these pieces into perspective, what you're looking at is not a €2,400 quality piece or a value piece. This is a €5,000 plus piece, retailed at only €2,400. Stellar. I like everything about it. Bracelet version, feel good factor, comfort level is stellar. FKM floor rubber strap version, comfort level, feel good factor is stellar. I like both pieces. To see a flinky enamel dial used at this price point is unprecedented. I've reviewed over 500 pieces on my channel, from low tier to mid tier to high tier. This is the first and only time I have seen a flinky enamel dial used on a mid tier piece between €500 and €5,000. One usually sees flinky enamel dials on Holy Trinity pieces at €30,000 plus. That alone is reason to purchase this piece. The movement alone is reason enough to purchase this piece. The LJPG 101FX is stellar. 68 hours plus 2 seconds per day. Quality Swiss caliber. 904L stainless steel. 800 hardness Vickers. It's just incredible. And above all else, I respect the engineering that's gone into the push button quick release end links. As you can see, no spring bars needed. The toolless bracelet resizing, buttons versus versus push pins or screw pins, and also the micro adjustment clasp, which is stellar. Everything about this piece, the engineering, the design, the quality control, the build quality, the finishing is there. There's only one negative to it, and I'd like to see the hands increase in proportion. The only negative is I'd like to see the indices have Lume on all the 12 versus 4 out of the 12. That's it. And I'm being very critical because one has to respect the movement, the material used, 904L, 800 HV hardness, flinky enamel dial. The specification is loaded, even 5 layers of AR coating. No cost cutting whatsoever. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money, and I'm going to highly recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Flux Quadras, Silverstone and Adrenaline Red versions. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you for watching.